Hey everybody, this is Perch. So I posted a couple panels from a blue beetle crossing the border. No, I think it's This Land Is Ours, I believe is the name of the YA book. And it's one of those graphic novels very similar to Nubia, Real One, and I Am Not Starfire, and it's in that vein of books. And I think that's important because what I'm about to say deserves an asterisk or a caveat to say this technically isn't comics. I mean, yes, it is a graphic novel. Yes, it's a comic book. Yes, it's using a DC character. But if we're being fair, and fair is fair, this is marketed and intended to be a YA graphic novel, not part of the ongoing regular series. So I acknowledge that. I want to say that right out the gate. There's a big difference between, Tom King writing Wonder Woman and the story he's doing, and and then, Nubia Real One. Those aren't the same. The character is not the same. Character is black, but the character is not the Nubia from the comics by an age difference of it's comics. I have no idea. Either 18 or 50 years. I who knows, right? She's not the queen of Themyscira. I mean, just lots of difference. Starfire does not have a daughter, who is a goth lesbian. So but that is what exists in the YA universe, and there have been some decent ones. I liked even though I thought I have to look at it as a product, not like a comic book. But the Damien and Bruce or Bob or Tim or whatever, you got a friend, and I'd say whatever, but that was cute. It was cute, Damien at school with a friend. It was just, I mean, I look at these similar to Babysitter Club and Dogman and books like that, my younger daughter, that's aimed for there. It's not aimed for me. Okay, so I just want to acknowledge it. Anyway, I posted some panels. The panels I posted related to kind of the main plot of the Blue Beetle book, which is around, racism. And, in particular, you get several scenes, and one of them, which is kind of the most eye-rolling or cringiest of them, was a introduction to, I guess, a radicalized YouTuber who's talking about they're trying to, eliminate straight white men, and it's a parody of what people say YouTube is like. Now, again, because we're being ultra fair, are there YouTube channels out there that talk like that? Yes. If you are listening to a YouTube channel that regularly has thumbnails that say, woke destruction, or this is woke bad, then, that is kind of what they're talking about. You may enjoy those. They may be entertaining. They may be dull lull cows. Who knows? But yeah, it is what it is. Okay. I made a comment like, I didn't give too much commentary, but it was eye rolling. And it was eye rolling to me for a few reasons, which we're going to get into. But there were some people who challenged me. So here's somebody who looked at the panels, including the, angry racism. And, there's a kid in class, like, the people who are fleeing here are just doing it because of climate change. And I mean, it was a lot of talking points rolled into one. And so somebody commented, I replied, and they commented back, and it's a reasonable exchange. There's a little bit of testiness to it because whenever you're getting into this stuff, you get people who are on edge. But I want to acknowledge the person posting here is posting in good faith, not trying to be a dick, arguing like for lack of a better word, like a man, or maybe it's a woman. Who knows? It's the internet. But like a grown-up. Wasn't being a prick about it. It says, the person posts, I don't see anything particularly wrong, meaning the panels. Sometimes you have to be ham-handed. Usually I'm used to ham-fisted, but anyway. Enough fisting on this channel, right? Sure, the comic is blunt, but the dialogue on this podcast, the focal character is watching, can be found practically verbatim on some channels. Yeah, I acknowledge that. Some. I mean, it's not the epidemic of, hyperventilating fat dudes with beards and a hat talking about, I'm sure there's like multiple people are like, that's me. Dude, you don't have to self-identify as fat dude with beard and hat, but okay. Certainly, it is beat for beat replicates the language people like Richard Spencer and sites like Stormfront use. I don't know Stormfront. I know Stormfront from the character on The Boys. And wasn't that a Wildstorm character as well? Maybe. I know Stormwatch. Wasn't there also Stormfront? So unsubtle and lacking in nuance as it is, it reflects real-world language and presentation. That's factual, whether you like it or not. So well-reasoned, that's fine. I don't like the last line, the whether you like it or not. That's the prick challenging kind of stuff that really has ruined a lot of discourse. No, I don't like it because it's dumb. It's dumb when a YouTuber does it seriously. It's dumb when a comic book uses it as the villain. It's dumb either way. It's like, hey, there's a, over the top dipshit making these kinds of comments on a YouTube channel. We're going to make fun of that. That's not dumb. Nope, still dumb. Still stupid. Anyway, let's continue here. And so I wrote, there are absolutely YouTube videos with people making these points. But are angry, silly YouTubers really the best villain and plot driver for a Blue Beetle comic? I know this is made for a YA audience, but we've seen more comics overall move to this being a primary villain archetype. I'm not saying it does. Sorry, I said, I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm saying, is this ham-fisted villain and message the one that sells comics and gets readers? And that's really the point. But the person came back and kind of said, well, what would you do? And it's fine. Again, I'm just curious, what would be your preferred approach to this type of messaging? My preferred approach to this type of messaging is I wouldn't do it in a superhero book. Period. I also wouldn't have the villain talking about, I'm not looking for something on the other side either. I'm not looking for the villain to come out and go, I'm Kamala Harris, and I'm going to gay all your children. I don't want that either. I don't think this is a good villain. I don't think it's a good plot point. I don't think it helps sell comics. And I'll give you this example, or a few. And here's where, for everybody listening right now, just for a moment, just lay down your political feelings and everything else. Put that aside, or at least restrain. And I want you to, venture back to the, year of yesteryear, the time of whatever, when you were a kid, and you would come across graphic novels, comics, books, whatever else that were like PSAs. And it's like, in this issue, Superman has to stop a kid from smoking marijuana because marijuana can make you crazy. Did you like those comics? I didn't. Nobody I knew did. Nobody liked these comics. Nobody liked preachy, that made for, Saturday afternoon, Hallmark Channel comics. Nobody liked that shit. They didn't like it when the message was like, hey, this kid got into drugs. Let's try getting the kid off of drugs. There's been jokes, lots of jokes. And this is where I don't quite understand, I guess, the people on the left. Because, you watch Family Guy, you watch The Simpsons, you watch a lot of these cartoons by people who are very left-leaning writers, and they make fun of those PSAs. Racism's bad, okay? Not the South Park guys, they get it. But, they make fun of that stuff because it was so eye-rollingly bad. The Simpsons, on many occasions, whether it was Troy McClure doing like spoof bits or lots of different basic parodies of that type of content. And what was all the more annoying about it is you were wanting to read Batman or Spider-Man or Wolverine or whoever it might be. And these are superhero comics that are marketing superhero adventures. And you didn't want to get a lecture on the dangers of alcohol or smoking or huffing paint or whatever was, the PSA at the time. Spider-Man always wears a seatbelt when he's in traffic and also wears a helmet because, not in the comics, but when he's riding a bike, Spider-Man wears a helmet because wearing a helmet's good, okay? Those were always painfully stupid. So in 2024, when we're doing comics around, here's a crazy radicalized racist YouTuber and he's making people feel bad. It's stupid. And so why is it that Matt Groening and Seth MacFarlane and some of the people who, made fun of and parodied these things over and over and over again, and frankly did it well, would then turn around and, dive in, with both, with open arms to embracing the modern equivalent of that stuff that was so stupid. That's what I don't get. That's what I think is eye-rollingly bad. It's just dumb. It's not dumb because, I secretly want the white race to reign supreme. It's dumb because it's dumb. It's dumb because it's a lecture in a superhero book, in a book that, the person picking it up really wants to just read Blue Beetle fighting off who knows what. It doesn't need to be an allegory for racism. To be fair, doing it every now and then, okay, it's still going to be kind of eye-rolling. It was in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, when there would be kind of social messages in this comic. But, if it's infrequent, okay, you can, I guess, a very special issue where Spider-Man tackles illegal immigration. Fine. But the YA books, and in particular a lot of comics, it's not one special issue. It's a lot of them. It's not all of them. I would even venture to say it's not a majority, but it's not, 1%, 5% of the storylines. It's closer to like 20 or 30%. And when you take YA type stuff, it gets even higher. And I'm not standing here going, this is because of Heather Antos, or, this is all started in 2016. It didn't. It's kind of the same way I feel when somebody says, well, comics have always been political. No, they haven't. But there have been dumb, ham-fisted political statements in comics for a long time. That's true. But the headline there is they were dumb, ham-fisted statements. And so using the example of, hey, this thing, you may think this thing is stupid, but there's always been stupid stuff. Okay. So what? Who cares? It's still stupid. I mean, would it help, the Rich Johnstons and the Heidi McDonalds and others of the world when they throw out this tired old argument? Would it help if you said in every post, I hate these social political statements in comic books. I have hated them in the 70s. I've hated them in the 80s. I've hated them in the 90s. I hate them in modern 2024 times. I mean, I guess then when they respond with well, they've always been political, you're like, no shit, that's what I just said. It's stupid. But in addition to it, being stupid and has always been stupid, the frequency has increased. So what's my idea for, inserting kind of ham-fisted messages into comics? My idea is don't. Look, here's the other part. Has anyone gone to a elementary school or a middle school and asked the kids, like, hey, are you interested in a graphic novel about Blue Beetle, a superhero? Yeah. I mean, most kids don't know who Blue Beetle is. Well, maybe it's a movie more would, but let's use a different character. It's like, hey, hey kids, would you like to read a comic about Wonder Woman? Yeah. I'm not even going to give you a made-up example. I'll give you a real example. When I did the review a while back for I Am Not Starfire, I had in my hands a copy of that book. And my daughter, who was, I believe, 8 or 9, goes, hey, what's that? Because she would read comic books and manga. And I said, hey, it's I Am Not Starfire. And my daughter got excited. Oh, I love Teen Titans, the cartoon. I would love to read that. I'll read it when you're done. I handed it to her, and she got like 3 pages in. It's like, this is not Teen Titans, a cartoon, no. And she was done. So if the goal is to, what is the goal here? I think the goal is to sell books. If the goal is to sell books, to sell, comics, then you need to actually know what your audience, i.e. the children that you're selling this to, want. And I can guarantee you they do not want a, sermon on racist YouTubers. I promise. Nobody wants that shit. The people who want it are the adults who used to roll their eyes at, public service announcements in comic books as being cringy and terrible, and have now grown up, gone into comics, and are making them themselves. That's the problem. It is weird to me, and I've sat with Marvel editor Lana Smith and talked about, they were doing some parody of the Hostess fruit pies ads from the 70s where, and how stupid they were, where Spider-Man would like throw Hostess fruit pies at the villains and they would eat them. And, it's like, that was always so terrible, breaking the third wall or whatever, breaking the character for his audience, for his dumb advertisement. And then turning around and understanding it's bad, wanting to parody it, and then creating content that is just a modern day equivalent of that old shit. Why? I mean, that just seems very strange to me. So, to the poster, I think it's dumb. I don't think it's dumb because, I secretly want to be the racist YouTuber. I don't think it's dumb because, my political pick is, in opposition to that political pick. I think it's dumb because it's dumb. Sub out the politics, do it the other way, still dumb. That's my point. I don't think this stuff works in comics. I think the sales prove that. Maybe, and several people, there are some other people who saw the panel was like, oh my God, I think this is great. I think I'll go buy it. I eventually tracked it down to somebody in Reddit, posted, here's Perch shitting on, Mexicans. That's how me posting the panel was described. And so a bunch of people came in to go, I actually think this is cool and I'm going to buy it. Good. Buy it. Prove us all wrong. But you're not going to buy it. To you, this is just entertainment to dunk on the other side. If you're one of the people who came in and going, I'm loving what they're putting down, then put down your money. Otherwise, you're the same kind of fraud and grifter as the people on, quote unquote, the other side who scream about everything being woke for movies and shows they don't even watch. It's all the same bunch of dumb performative shit. I don't think comic books should have this stuff. Or rather, I would like the frequency to go back to occasional moments. I don't think it serves Blue Beetle. You want this character to be an inspiration, a powerful superhero fighting an angry YouTuber and who's going to disrupt the Unity Parade is not that no 8-year-old girl or boy is going to read that going, wow, this is the coolest superhero ever. They're not going to. Get in touch with your audience. Go find out what kids actually want. It's not this. This is a YA book aimed at a YA audience. This is one of the reasons why, the X-Men got so stupid, is because you have this huge cadre of villains. And, in a couple pin strokes, Hickman's like, well, the villains are all going to live on Krakoa now and just be good. There's a lot of things you could have done with that. The villains secretly trying to plot to overthrow Krakoa, not integrating in. There's lots of stuff you could have done. And weirdly enough, man, some of you are going to hate this. Pretty much one of the only writers who actually explored that. I mean, you had Ben Percy over there with Beast and X-Force. But Vita Ayala explored this with the Shadow King in New Mutants. It wasn't an enjoyable read, but I give Vita credit. She tried to actually, put that plot in. Many of the other writers turned around and said, well, I've got no villains, so we're going to create Orcus, and they're just going to have them run around in kind of red T-shirts and red hats saying, kill the muties with faceless robots, and look how well that worked out. It was boring. X-Men turned from a kind of dangerous book that, would have social stuff in it all the time, for sure, but it was the backdrop to really exciting adventures that they would go on, really, dangerous moments. It wasn't the sole point of every issue. It wasn't. People come in and argue this with me. I both own and have read every issue of the X-Men, Uncanny X-Men. You would definitely see mutants are feared and persecuted, and then you'd have them, fighting the Marauders and Sinister over there with, the Reavers, or any number of villains that, were crucifying Wolverine on a stake, or, fighting, the Silver Samurai's minions in Japan, or the Brood off in space. I mean, just, they were doing all kinds of stuff. It wasn't a one-note book, which was, man, life is perfect, but that stupid racist mutant haters. I mean, that became everything. It'd be like if the X-Men back in the 70s had one villain, the Sentinels. That's it. I mean, what sense does that make? It wouldn't have been exciting. It wouldn't have taken off. So, look, again, if you liked it, good. Buy it. Support it. Push it. But I just would like, just asking you, why is it that this kind of social commentary stuff is so stupid and eye-rolling and boring? Like, the last thing I want to do is, have Green Lantern and Green Arrow deal with, Speedy being a junkie. It's like, nobody enjoyed that plot. It was pain at the time. It's like, man, the Comics Code Authority and the government's like giving them money to do this shit. It sucks. You didn't enjoy those issues. You got old. You started writing comic books. You got a job, and you decided, I'm going to do tons of those issues. Help that make sense to me. Anyway, sorry for a long video. Is what it is. Thanks for listening.